Welcome to another episode of Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement. I'm here at the News Forum where all voices matter. Well, Keith Jansa rejoins us. He is the CEO of the Canadian Digital Governance Council, and the council has published a number of key reports recently. Welcome back to Boom and Bust.
Pleasure to be here.
I guess the first thing, maybe just a refresher for our audience on what the Digital Governance Council is and what it does.
The Digital Governance Council is a member-driven, not-for-profit organization here in Canada that converges with the C-suite across all key sectors of the Canadian economy on digital transformation challenges and opportunities.
And so you're member driven. So these are companies that are digital companies or involved in the ICT sector. Is that right?
Across all sectors,
Okay.
we have your big banks, insurance companies, telcos, energy companies on the private sector side, and then within the public sector, government departments and agencies like Public Service and Procurement Canada, Agriculture and Agri-Food. The list, of course, there goes on, and then some provincial representation in municipalities like Ontario and the City of Edmonton, City of Toronto.
Gotcha. Okay, I understand a little bit better now. Thanks for making that a little bit clear. So I'd like to sort of tackle some of your recent reports and recommendations, Keith. First, let's tackle your report on regulating digital technologies. What were the major recommendations of that report?
Well, the recommendations there were three, effectively. The first, to recognize that the pace of change of technology and that our legislative and regulatory policies just can't keep up. And with that, there needs to be a modernization of our existing frameworks, the way in which we govern, to effectively be as nimble and responsive to market needs and to ensure the social prosperity of Canadians. And to do that, it's not only modernizing existing frameworks on how to do that, but also investing in public sector capacity, giving the know-how within the public sector to know how to go about regulating these new emerging technologies. And then finally, putting more tools in that toolbox, leveraging risk-based, standards-based solutions. That is a tool that quite regularly gets used within traditional sectors of the Canadian economy. We need to have that same strategic orientation when we think about digital things and the way in which we can regulate and ensure that the responsible use of these new technologies does not impact Canadians for the worse.
Yeah, and it just seems that the pace of rapid change and transformation actually is accelerating. Is that just a feeling, or is that demonstrably true right now?
Well, I think we're all feeling it. You can take the likes of generative AI just in the past few months of where you didn't really hear the public talking about artificial intelligence in the way in which we're currently using it today. When you think of applications like Chat GPT, it's becoming in some way regarded in households as like, we're not using a search engine, Google it. Now it's like, we have the Canadian public going about, well, let's Chat GPT that. It's becoming much more of a vernacular in households, and the use, is unprecedented in regard to moving just to 1 million users. The internet, it took 7 years to a decade to get to 1 million users in using the internet. Chat GPT, you're talking months to get to that level of volume of users using it. And unfortunately, we're at a state where there's talk of legislation and regulation around AI, both here at home and around the world, but there's nothing enacted and nothing enforced. So a little bit of the Wild West at the moment.
Yeah, I find it interesting because obviously, what the legislative process is like in Canada and elsewhere. It takes months and sometimes longer than months, a couple of years sometimes for a piece of legislation to wend its way through the legislative system. And in the meantime, we are getting these innovations that are happening in weeks rather than months. I'm going to continue with this topic, though, after the break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.